This is the next project. 998 Mini Cooper Mk.1. It's a late model. I think it's 67. It's going to be quite a big job. Over the years, it hasn't had a restoration before, but it's had a lot of keeping it on the road patches. A few sections in the floor replaced, some patches on the boot floor, and some bits and pieces done. So it's having a proper restoration this time. The front panel is in really nice condition. So I'm going to carefully remove it, send it for blasting, do any repairs and reuse that. You can see in the front floor area where it's had a lot of welding done. Inner sill patches, floor patches. Looking into the back, you can see the back section of the driver's side. There's had a complete section welded in there. Below the rear seat, you can see on the driver's side, there's some sections on the heel panel. And then the rear seat base has had some patches. So we're going to cut all of it out, put new floor in, which is being made by M Machine at the moment. Looking at the boot floor, you can see it's had a few patches over the years. A big one along the side of the battery box, one behind the battery box. Big one on that side as well. So it'd be nice to try and save the boot floor, but it's so much work, it's far more cost effective to replace. Looking at the rear bumper lip, where it should be about 1/8 of an inch thick, from the 3 layers, that's about 1/2 inch thick. Be interested to see what's going on under there. But I've got a new section to go along underneath the boot lid. On a Mk.1, I usually like to start at the back, I don't know why. So today I'm going to start off with the new rear panel section that goes underneath the boot lid. I'm going to fit that and then start fitting the quarter panels. I always buy a Mk.3 quarter panel, even though it's a Mk.1. I have to flatten this lip out. It makes it a bit cheaper for the customer than buying the Mk.1 panel. I've got the new lower rear panel clamped in place now, with the boot lid fitted in the aperture. Got a nice even gap all the way around, which means I can scribe my line, which I've done, take it off, cut a butt joint and then tack it back on, double check the boot lid fit and weld it all up. It really didn't take a lot to get the valance and lower rear panel off. It wasn't held on by much, it was more fiberglass than anything else. Sealer, fiberglass. Get these lines cut in now. Now that repair panel's tacked in place, with the boot lid fitting nicely, I'm going to move on to the quarter panels. I'll start this side. As I said before, the quarter panels are Mk.3, and I flatten out that flange. I'll show you doing the other side. Yeah, it doesn't take long to do. You have to be careful though, because I don't want to stretch it. I don't want to end up with a load of hammer marks either. Ready to start fitting it on the car. There's quite often somebody that asks, why are you replacing that panel? It looks good to me. Well, here's why. You'd never get inside to clean all that up properly. I'm going to give that a really good wire brushing, rust treat it, red oxide it. All this down here will all be new when we build up the new floor on the jig. New wheel arch, new closing panels. I'll clean up that bit of the bulkhead there. Sorry about the rattly shutter door, it's really windy today. The quarter panel itself, see all these bits of filler poking through? Very rusty. And then it's virtually rusted through at the top as well. So although it didn't look too bad from the outside, there's good reason to replace it. Quarter panel's all cut in now, fits nicely. Got a nice gap down the door. You can see my butt joint that I've cut there, which I'll continuous weld. It'll be the last job once everything is assembled on the new floor. At this point, we're not fitting the quarter panel to the sill or the old wheel arch. I've sort of knocked them out of the way. We're fitting it to the body line there and the body line there. The owner of this one had a go at some repairs. Didn't do a terrible job, but decided he wasn't happy with it. So he's asked me to do a proper restoration. Both the new rear quarter panels are now welded on. Nice join there. Spot welded all down the seam. 1 inch pitch. Spot welded along the aperture. New lower rear panels welded in place. They've got a nice gap around the boot lid. This side's welded on as well. I'm going to repair this little section here. As you can see, I've run a piece of sheet metal through the jenny to create the same joggle as the standard window aperture. So I'm going to cut it out and weld that in place. We had a pallet delivered today from M Machine with a new floor, boot floor, inner wings, toe panel. Gonna get stuck into that in the morning. We've got the new floor here from M Machine that arrived yesterday. I'm just about to make my usual alterations to make it my own. Starting off with removing these little tabs and welding up the V's. Then I'm going to drill out the spot welds as I did on the last project, the minivan, and seam weld it to make it all a one-piece floor. I've made my alterations on this new floor now. I've welded the 3 sections together, the tunnel and the 2 floor halves, same as I did on the last minivan. And at the front here, I've put these recesses in to make it the same as original. The new floor is now ready for assembly. Made my alterations by joining the 3 sections together, the 2 floor halves and the tunnel, drilling out the spot welds and seam welding it. Flanges where the door steps and rear quarter panels spot weld on. I've got weld through primer and then red oxide inside the box section. Next job on the toe panel is to alter these square recesses. This is as per the early pre-hydroelastic cars. This one being a later hydroelastic car should be that shape. The new boot floor is now nearly ready to be fitted to the new main floor. The last job, if you see that bit there where the 2 holes are, it should look like where the 2 holes are just there. The easiest thing to do is cut it out of this boot floor and weld it into the new boot floor. So I need to get the body off this floor so I can do it. I'm going to start removing the front end, but I'm going to carefully take this front panel off and clean it up because we're going to take it for blasting and then do any repairs so that it could be reused. You can see now why we're going for new inner wings. A lot of fiberglass up there, some previous repairs. Same on the other side, a lot of fiberglass, previous repairs. Now you'll be able to see the full extent of why we're replacing so much Bit of the original inner sill there. Jacking point has completely rotted away. Bits of inner sill. There's the bit of the original boot floor that I'm hoping to save. It doesn't look very good, so I might have to fabricate that bit. Luckily underneath all that seam sealer and paint, the metal was in decent condition, so that's welded in now to build up the whole floor. Well, the body's now on the new floor. The boot lid fits nicely. The new boot floor in there. There's a couple of brackets still to go on. Quarter panels meet the wheel arches nicely. Obviously, I still need to weld down that joint there. That's usually the last job I do after the doors have been skinned. The original doors fit in the hole quite nice. So that's all spot welded together. The toe panel's spot welded to the floor and tacked to the bulkhead for now. So I'm going to start cutting out front inner wings. So welding up those V's and trimming the flange so that it's a nice even thickness all the way along. Just makes it a lot neater. You compare that to this side now it's done. So now I'll do the same to this side and get the inner wing fitted.